Hello, welcome back to my class. Today we'll be starting the decision which has to be taken by the manager, finance manager. Okay, last time we talked about the wealth maximization of the shareholders, isn't it? That finance manager has always have an important objective to maximize the shares of the shareholders so that everything, all other objectives will be fulfilled, isn't it? That way we have learned like a profit maximization, like maintenance of liquidity, proper utilization of resources. Those things will be it will be automatically settled when the shareholders value of the shares will be maximized, the profit will be maximized, or you can say the wealth of the shareholders if maximized means everything will be settled. Okay, so that way we have learned. Now for making that wealth maximization that successful, what the manager has to do, what the finance manager has to do, he has to take these three broad these decisions. Okay, and these decisions, if he could achieve this decision successfully, then wealth maximization of the shareholders will automatically be achieved. Okay, so first one, we talk about this, see, investment decision, financing decision, and dividend decision, which are considered as major functions of financial decision, or you can say these are the financial functions of management. Okay, now you see finance manager when take these three kind of decision. First one is investment decision. So when he take investment decision means it's only about the decision of making investment in the working capital, that is current assets, as well as the decision of making investment in the fixed asset, that is also known as capital budgeting decision. Okay, so these two decision he has to take. After that, when he takes the investment decision, making investment in the working capital, current assets, as well as making investment in the fixed asset, that is capital budgeting. Okay, now financial decision when he takes, then he has to take two things, that is one is financial decision, okay, how to raise the funds, financing. Another one is how he will take the dividend decision. These two things he has to keep it in his mind so that these two will be achieved. Okay, now when he takes the financial decision, he has to think about the decision of maintaining the ratio of debt and equity. Now debt and equity, that is borrowed funds as well as that is owner's fund. Okay, he has to think about maintaining of ratio between these two this terms. Okay, and the one is dividend decision. When he takes the dividend decision, he has to think about how much to be make investment in the project that they are going to do, that they are going to make investment in the any new project, or the flourishment of the business, or extension of the business, or further making investment in his own business. Now how much to be retained earning, how much to be maintain or keep as a reserve, or how much to be keep. Retain means to keep, isn't it? How much of the profit should be keeping secretly, and how much to be utilized. Okay, these two things has to be taken, and how much, and then that remaining will be divided as a dividend to the shareholders. Okay, so these are the factors, these are the things which he has to take the major the decisions. Now after that we'll be learning in detail the same thing. This is only the figure that you have to understand in brief. Now you have to learn in detail, that is what is investment decision. Now first of all you should understand that how much to be make investment in either in the current assets or in the fixed assets. Now when the finance manager take the decision of making investment in the current asset, that is known as working capital decision. When he makes investment in the fixed assets, then that is known as capital budgeting decision. Now you see this blindly he cannot take the steps while making investment. If he invest in the fixed assets means, see, he has to think about how much the funds will be blocked, isn't it? Because it is a long term decision. When he makes investment in the fixed asset, that is only long term decision, and which may hamper the business by blocking the funds cash flow position of the business. Okay, so these factors, these at least four factors he has to think in his mind while making a decision for either in to make investment in the current assets or in the fixed assets. Okay, now first one is cash flow position of the project. Now when he has finally decided to make investment in the fixed assets, he has to think about like the thing from that investment, from that project, he had might have purchased a long term machinery, isn't it? Might purchase land or furniture and fixture, plant and machinery. Okay, so that is only the fixed, isn't it, assets. Now he has to think that whether that machine, whether that assets will give the benefit, or that is in the form of the cash flow, the maintenance of cash flow will be in a better way or not. Okay, he has to think about, after making investment in that kind of project, whether that can earn the benefit or they can maintain the cash flow position smoothly or not. Okay, another one is return on investment. Now this is also known as ROI. Now return on investment also has to be think about. See, for example, if that they will calculate in earlier, that in advance, if they have make investment in project A, and that return on earning, or you can say return on investment, is 10%, but if in B project they might be earning 15%, then preferably they choose project B. Okay, by seeing the return on investment. Got it? Like income from that particular investment, that has to be seen, or that has to be calculated earlier or in advance. Okay, now risks involved, whether after putting that much of fund, after investing that much of fund in the particular assets, will have some risks or not. Risks means maybe like that machine doesn't work, or maybe like they are unnecessarily making investment in the particular project, and they are not getting, the business is not getting any benefit in the long term. Okay, that kind of risks has to be think about. Or interest, isn't it? Well, that using that much of fund in the particular assets will bear that kind of losses or not, that has to be think about in advance. Now another one is investment criteria. Like when they make investment in the particular project or in the assets, they have to think about other criterias, like technology, isn't it? Like labor availability, other things also has to be taken into consideration while making decision about this investment. Okay, now about financing decision. Now you see, financing decision is all about how to raise the funds. Okay, these are only about making investment either in the current assets or in the fixed assets. If it is in the current asset, that is known as working capital decision, and if it is they have a thought of investing in the fixed asset, that is known as capital budgeting decision. Now financing decision is all about how to raise the funds, either from the internal source or from the external source. If it is from the internal source, they are using the money for their purposes for the business, then that is known as equity. And if they have utilized the funds from outsiders and they are making utilize in the business for their purposes, any purposes, then that is known as debt. Okay, so how to maintain this debt and equity ratio? How much to be debt has to be utilized and how much to be equity has to be utilized. For example, in your case, if you have got already 2000 in your pocket, and now you are making you want to buy something, go for shopping Gangtok. Okay, you are going Gangtok. Now for that reason, if you utilize your 2000, that means equity, your own fund you are utilizing for doing shopping for your purposes. Okay, but if you are asking your parents to get, or someone else, or friends or relatives, if you are asking for shopping, means that is debt. You are asking others or taking loan from others and for your purposes. Okay, equity and debt for the same thing. See, in both the things you have got risks. If you use your 2000, your whole money, then in future you will be like moneyless, penniless, isn't it? You don't have money, you don't have any money in your pocket, because you'll be like losing your money for shopping, isn't it? That is also risk, because in future any like any thing you, if you need it, then you don't have money like that, isn't it? You have to face that loss in future. Now if you are asking your from your friends 2000, and your friends is telling that okay, instead of 2000 you have to pay me 2100, because you are asking loan from me, like that, if it happens, that means you are paying interest, you are paying extra money to your friend later on, isn't it? So in both the case you have to bear the loss risk. So it is the finance manager for the business. He has to think about wisely the which one will be better, either to use the own fund from the business for their work, isn't it? Any work, maybe flourishment, or maybe they are adding any project, isn't it? They are adding more product, diversification. They are adding more product in their business, any kind of business. For that financing, if they use debt, then also they have to bear the loss, because they have to pay the amount of interest to the outsiders. But if they use their own fund, that is known as equity, or retain earning and equity, if they use their own fund, then also they have to face the loss, because if they wholly or completely finish up their money, isn't it, then in future contingency what they will do, isn't it? So they want to keep some amount of money for their reserve also. So it's the decision of the finance manager. He should be an intellectual person, he should be a wise person, so that it's all depend upon him whether to get the success in the business or not. Okay, so financing decision is like that only, it's the meaning only. Now what are the things, what are the factors he has to take into in his mind while deciding about this maintenance of debt and equity ratio? Means, see, first factor is cost. I have already told you what will be the cost of raising the funds. If they use their own fund, that means equity, then they don't have to bear any cost, isn't it? No need to own money he is using, means no need to pay anything to others. That means cost is less. But if they use debt, isn't it, asking money from others or from bank or in company, what will do? What will happen? Company can raise the funds by issuing of shares, isn't it? Issuing of shares is equity only. Issuing of debenture, that is loan from others, isn't it? Debenture holder will be asking interest, isn't it, later on. So debenture holder has to be satisfied. Company has to give some amount of money, extra amount of money than the original one, that is interest, isn't it? So the debenture holder will claim the interest from the company. That means cost is high. Understood? So in that means equity and debt, when we compare, the equity is less, equity is cost effective. Okay, another factor he has to take into consideration, that is risk. Now what risks is involved? About risks I have already told you. Losing of all money for the equity, that is a risk factor. Another risk can be, it's about cost also, isn't it? Risk can be of anything, like if they use debt or asking borrowing from that bank or debenture or something like that, then they have to pay more amount of money, that is risks only, isn't it? So these are the risks it is involved. Another one is cash flow position. Now if the cash flow position of the company is very good, then what will happen? They can borrow loans, or they can go for more and more debt, because they can easily pay off later on, isn't it? But if the company doesn't have the smooth cash flow position, or they have shortage of fund, means they only go for equity. They want to use their own fund, because they have got fear of paying the interest. Okay, so cash flow position is most important while raising funds, either from debt or from equity. Another one is control consideration. This is also one of the important factor, because see, if they go for more and more debt, if they are asking loan from bank, they are not using the equity, they don't have sufficient amount of money on their own, then they go for debt, isn't it? So debt means asking loan from bank, financial institution, or raising of funds through debenture, isn't it? Borrowed funds. Okay, when they only ask, they are using borrowed fund, means someone will control their company, obviously, because in their general meeting and all those things, they have to call the debenture holders, they have to call the bankers for that, and they cannot make the secrecy also, isn't it? That means they have got fear of losing the control in their business. Some other will be controlling their business. They are claiming that yes, this company is financed because of my money, isn't it? Some bankers will say, some debenture holders will ask them that any decision if the company is taking, means why not they are considering us, because our money our bulk of amount is already invested in their company, isn't it? This company is financed through our money, so we can control this company very easily. So some company for this losing of control, they don't go for debt, they only use the equity, isn't it? So control consideration is also most important factor for this case. Another one is flotation cost. They have to think about the flotation cost. Finance manager has to think about the flotation cost while raising the funds either through equity or debt. If this, see, flotation cost means issuing time, whatever amount will incur, whatever the expenses will incur. For example, underwriters, that commission, that agent will take some amount of money from the company while issuing, isn't it? Like they will claim that we have done your work, now this is our commission, give us this much of commission. So sometimes it will be so high, isn't it? While issuing of shares or issuing of debenture, they have to take into consideration while issuing of debenture how much will be the flotation cost, and for issuing of shares how much will be the flotation cost, or through equity cost will be less in this case, isn't it? So they go for equity only. Flotation cost means expenses which are incurred while raising funds. Okay, and the one is fixed operating costs in company. If the fixed operating cost means which is not which is unavoidable, they cannot avoid any cost like rent, isn't it? Like machinery cost, like some kind of cost which is like unavoidable, we can, it is not in the hand of company to reduce the cost. That kind of expenses is known as fixed operating cost, which makes cash flow position very weak for the company, isn't it? So in that case, if this fixed operating cost is very high, then company will go for equity, because they cannot pay the interest in time to the debenture holder, or you can say for the borrowed funds. Okay, so they use only equity. Now capital market condition. Now see, this also like capital market condition, you go for share, equity, debentures, like that. Okay, so you might have learned stock exchanges and all those things. If not, then you'll be learning later on in this business studies also. Now see, during boom period, when the company is earning high, profitable, isn't it? They have got good symptoms of earning. That is when that position is known as boom position. In that position, like if the company wants to issue shares, then easily they can issue the shares and raise the funds. Okay, but during depression time, when the company is not earning, when the company is not becoming profitable, one symptoms is low, isn't it? In that case, they cannot issue shares. They only can borrow the funds, or they can ask someone or bankers, or like through some other financial institution for asking the funds. Okay, because capital market condition also shows symptoms like whether they can issue shares or not. See, after seeing the position, after seeing the company's boom situation, isn't it? Company is performing well means then only the shareholders, the prospective shareholder, the future investors, isn't it? Future shareholders want to invest, make investment and give the funds to the company, isn't it? So boom situation is better and they can go for issuing of shares. If not, then they have to go for debt. So in this way, the finance manager has to take the decision after considering all these factors while taking financing decision and for taking investment decision. Okay, hope you will understand. Thank you.